Okay. Well, good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us. This is Wellness Wednesday. And the goal for Wellness Wednesday is to help everyone be the best version of themselves. And we all met through a very special biohacking company. And that's their mission, is to help people live longer, better lives, doing everything they love. And we don't want anybody to stop. We want everybody to be younger next year, which is actually the topic of today's. So I have, excuse me, the honor of introducing a very special guest, Mr. Seth Mulder. And Seth Mulder is a gentleman in the most complete sense of the word, a gentleman. And I know a lot of people, when they introduce themselves, they say, like, first and foremost, I'm a dad, or I'm a husband, and I think Seth has the ability to be everything that I'm going to mention now, all at the same time. Everything is first place. So he's a husband to his lovely wife, Stephanie. He is a father to 10 kids. He's a grandpa to 4 grandkids. Seth is a person of faith, which is a very important part of his life. And he is a super duper successful entrepreneur. He has built multi-million-dollar companies in the network marketing arena, in health and wellness, in supplementation, and now biohacking. He is an excellent basketball player. And he is the leader and mentor of global teams, like humongous global teams all around the world. I think if it would take like half an hour to list all the leaders that he has in different countries all around the world. And he is a friend and a mentor and a truly, truly caring person, passionate about helping others. And he is all of this all at the same time. So he's been for 30 years in the wellness business arena. And now in this new, most of you are probably not familiar with it. There's a new social platform called Clubhouse. And he rubs elbows every week with the top doctors and healthcare professionals with this topic of how can we be better next year. There is technology out there that shows that we don't have to age as fast as we think we have, and that our bodies are capable of living to be 100, 120 with our full capacity. So he is the best person to lead us into this June of wellness for men. So Seth, we want to hear everything so that we can be just like you.
Minus the hairline. Wow, Lillian, thank you so much for the kind introduction. I appreciate your invitation and Eileen's invitation to be here on Wellness Wednesday. I know you all have been doing this for, week after week, after month, after month, after month. And I didn't know if I was ever going to get an invitation, but apparently whoever was scheduled to be today obviously couldn't be here. And so, I got the pinch hit, and so I'm going to use it. I'm going to hit. I'm going to do my best, and strive to live up to that incredible introduction. But that is my life, and I'm passionate about all of those areas. I absolutely love being married to my wife, Stephanie. We both have experienced life after divorce, and I just mention that because I just think, one of the greatest things we could ever do. And this does have to be with, by the way, being younger next year, is just to be connected, to know that there's somebody else out there. And usually there are a whole bunch of us, somebody's out there who've gone through maybe what you've gone through, losing a loved one, or chronic illness, or caretaker to somebody with a chronic illness, or, been divorced, been a single parent. I was a single parent, a dad with 6 kids for a while before I met my wife, Stephanie, who was a single parent with 2 kids, raising them on her own. And now we're blending families and raising 10 kids and 4 grandkids. But I'm passionate about all those things, absolutely passionate about my children. Oh my goodness, what a blessing. Our 3-year-old, just a side note, our little 3-year-old Ruth, who looks like she's about 18 months old, by the way. She's actually 3.5. She's just a whole package in half the package size. And she just learned her name. I mean, she's been speaking, for months and months. But yesterday I was saying, do you know your name? Well, I'm Ruthie. And then so we taught her whole name, her middle name, which comes from both of her from her paternal and maternal grandmothers. One has Lee as a middle name, and the other has May as a middle name. So her middle name is May Lee. And we just, it's just how fun for a little child to know her identity. Ruthie, what's your name? Ruth Maylee Mulder. And she's so happy to know who she is. And I want to tie that in to us, because I really believe that identity unlocks destiny. When you know who you are, right? When you know who you are, if you felt like you came from good stock, it makes a difference. I was so proud to be a Hust. That's my mom's side of the family, and to be raised. My mom was a single mom when I came into the world, and so to be raised by my grandparents, I was just supremely proud of them. And I knew, because I was connected to them, that meant something. That meant something. Number one, it meant you don't cheat in the horse game when you're counting horses. My grandfather taught me that. I only had to do that once, cheating. But knowing my identity really, really unlocked my destiny. And tonight, what I would love to chat with you about, and I mean chat. So if you have questions, listen, disclaimer, I'm not giving medical advice. And, take note here. I'm going to give you a cue. You are the CEO of your health. You are the CEO of your health. But we're just going to have a discussion. And, if you have questions, drop them in, and who knows? We might be able to answer them. At least we'll know what's important to you. But would love to answer some questions and make it a discussion. I think we'll leave some time at the end. But if you drop some questions in the chat box as we're having this discussion tonight, that'll probably prepare us much better than just kind of this unknown Q&A time where people feel on the spot and don't know what to do, and they want to ask a question, but they're not sure. Well, feel free just to drop a question in. But knowing who you are, knowing your identity, and using that as a blueprint for the rest of your life. As Lily Ann mentioned, I've been in the health and wellness industry for actually spanning a time period over 30 years now, since 1987. I was in the supplement industry in 1987. If you did the math, I'd be 12 years old. Yes, I was a businessman at 12 years old. Hawking, I wasn't hawking, but I was working for a very fine consumer goods, nutrition, supplementation, wellness company in Provo, Utah. And really was introduced and started supplementing literally at that time in my life with consumer products, from in the beauty industry, as well as the diet industry and the supplementation and the wellness and the herbal industry. What if you could take a step back and literally understand the identity? And when I say the identity, I'm gonna say, looking at your blueprint, let's call that your genetic blueprint. And I'm going to give you a real kind of 30,000 foot view of this, like the big picture, the blueprint from the mind, body, and spirit side of things, really understanding who you were, why you're here, right? We're not talking religion tonight, but I really do think that that's important. If you knew that you had a purpose in life, and that purpose was connected to a blueprint, mind, body, and spirit, how might you act different? How might you be different? How might you live different? How might you choose different? And when I say different, just better, right? Seeking to make the best out of every ounce, whatever that is, Marilyn, that you're drinking, it looks good. Out of every ounce of life. right? And I say ounce because life is something that is meant to be drunk, right? Don't take that the wrong way. Life is something that is meant to be consumed, to be savored. Life is also measured in moments, right? Every drop of life, which represents one moment, right? That moment when I was home yesterday as an entrepreneur, that's what I've chosen to do with my flexi time at home, which means, maybe I'm not going to run a $5 billion company, but I'm going to raise 10 kids and some grandkids, right? I'll do it with $100 million company, right? When my daughter, Hannah, who's 5, said, "Dad, you're the best. I love you." I said, "Well, thank you. Why is that?" And I had come out, I've been working around our property and we have horse property and prepping for some cows and, building my online, my wellness business and mentoring people, primarily women around the world. But I took some time, moments, and I said, let's hop in the pool. Now you have to imagine this pool is 6 feet wide and 18 inches deep. Okay, that's the kind of pool we put up in the backyard. It's super easy maintenance. I don't even need chlorine, right? I don't even need ozone. But I said, hey, for the next 20 minutes until Daddy has his next thing, I went and changed into my swim trunks. And I just said, let's go swimming. Oh, Dad, you're just the best, Dad. Well, why is that? Just because you're going to swim with us. And I brought out some popcorn. And we just, and it makes me really emotional. But I'll tell you, you know what? That's the moment. That's the stuff that life is made of. And it's meant to be consumed. It's meant to be savored. It's meant to be just thirsted for and just eaten up, right? So that's a little bit of a kind of like the, what's under the hood? Why am I here? What's the big deal? Well, listen, what about your life? Are you destined because of your identity, because of that blueprint, to have those kind of moments, to go out and do relief work? I know Vivian, who's on here, is absolutely committed to relief work and caring for souls. There are souls of people and souls of animals, right? What if you can't do that because of where you are health-wise, mind, body, or spirit? And, I lost my grandfather early, not to death, but to dementia. And to walk out of that care facility when I was a senior in high school in 1991, 92, for the last time, and to say goodbye to the man who was already gone. And knowing today what I know now, had I known then, to be able to offer my grandfather a different approach to health, you better believe I would be taking it right now so that I could have moments with him. Because I tell you, I would pay a very high price, a pretty price, to spend 5 minutes with him. But what if you today are dealing today? The decisions you make today are going to determine that 5 minutes or that 5 weeks or that 5 months or that 5 years that's going to be yours because of the decisions you're making today. That's why Younger Next Year is so important to me. So I read a book last year called Younger Next Year, right? By Dr. Harry Gray. It's co-authored, a doctor and a writer. And just a fun book. It was called Younger Next Year for Men. Good news, women. They got wise and they made a Younger Next Year pink cover for women. So don't read the men's book, okay? But the book was actually targeted at men over 50 who were kind of getting into what they'll call the next third, right? But it's totally applicable. And frankly, I spend most of my time not mentoring and working with men around the world. 80% of what I do, 90% of my time I spend with really exceptional women all around the world as we mentor and help them experience health transformation and teach that in the biohacking world. But think about the next third. think about what most people, many men and many women experience in what they'll call the next third. You know, they hit that 50, 60 years old and they're changing a lot of things. A lot of things are, those of you who are there thinking, no kidding, there's a lot of changes. But socially, there are a lot of changes. Many go from full-time work into kind of full-time retirement. And there's just, that's why I have to say really mind, body, and spirit. My apologies. Their life goes through significant changes. And what we see, if we were to map out your health, like on a chart, for most people it starts, and we're going to talk about the vibrancy of your health, the youth, the energy, the vigor, the vim. Here on the y-axis moving up, okay, this is the magnitude of awesomeness in your life. And on the x-axis, we're talking about the length, the chronology, how long you've been around kind of life. And usually when we're young, it's like this high potency life. I mean, everything's amazing. What happens is literally what we're seeing in not just the American culture, the culture in the Western world, but really generally speaking around the world, although there are exceptions, good exceptions, we kind of like cruise through the 10s, 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s. And then here, there's some marked changes that go by in the 40s and the 50s. And then it's like this. It's like this significant decline and then just almost a withering away. It brings pathos, right? A feeling of concern and empathy because of the waning of life. One thing I will tell you, key point, I'm going to throw a nugget at you right here. 70% of what you experience as aging or in aging is voluntary. 70% of the just crap, right, that people experience in aging is avoidable. 70%, 80+% of, negative health conditions are, I guess I just want to say choice, right? They are lifestyle related. And some of the things that I want to share with you tonight, just some of the key points, some of the key signs as you go down the next third of your life, may have a profound influence. Because as Lillian, when she was introducing me, talked about, living to 120, scientists generally, there's a lot of science and a lot of scientists who kind of generally agree that, listen, the human body, it's probably, it's probably easily accepted that it's programmed to live to 120. And yes, I know. I've heard, no, but my body's this way, or I just got these genes. Yes, genes play a big factor. But the more you delve into this, into the research and into the science and into the biology and the physiology of humanness and life, we realize that although genes do play a big part, we can also change the tune. Imagine your genes as the piano keys. You're a grand piano, you're a Steinway, or whatever you want to play, right? We have a Yamaha, okay, but you're a grand piano that has the capability, again, identity, right? You don't have to just plunk that one key right over and over and over and over. You are a piano, and the keys are like your genes. You got what you got. But there are two things that can really affect the melody, the music, right? The music that comes from living life, you. One is tuning the piano. I don't care if you have the best ivory piano keys on the face of the planet. If you don't tune those keys, that hardware will not be optimized for maximum beautiful sound and harmonics, right? Number two, the fingers that play those keys. So to give a comparison, you could have a in-tune piano. You could be blessed with amazing keys, but if you choose to only plunk hot cross buns, right, and miss 1/3 of the notes, right, it's going to be very different type of harmony, and melodies that you're playing. Compare that, juxtaposition that with somebody who maybe have a few keys that just aren't there. Maybe some of your genes aren't, perfectly where they want to be. I mean, there are grades. It's gradation, right? There's stratification, good, better, best when it comes to the gene pool. But if you tune those keys and you learn your stuff, you can tickle those ivories and you can play some of the most beautiful music ever. In fact, you can outplay, outshine, outperform that person with a Steinway with an amazing hardware, but just not doing the right thing. So what I want to share with you are some of the ideas that I've come up with. I know we don't keep these long, and hopefully I haven't been too metaphorical tonight. I'm a storyteller. I prefer to connect with people and tell stories than get stuffy and be all boardroom like. But let me share with you some, I think, insights that you can take home to improve your life and be younger next year. Yeah. What do I mean by that? Okay. So at the beginning of the year, I announced to some friends on social media, hey, I'm doing a 90-day challenge. Why did I do that? Well, I was already going to do it anyway. I wanted to trim up some of this amazing body that I've been given. And I wanted to kind of slim down just a little in certain places. And I wanted to strengthen my body. I wanted to grow a little muscle, lose a little fat. And mainly, I just wanted to create some more habits, because excellence really isn't an event. Excellence is our habits, day after day after day after day. And I just wanted to make a little improvement, right? An incremental improvement, and bank that for my long-term health span, right? Because what I'm all about is, instead of that decline and kind of waning and kind of like a moon just going out of sight for the next 20 years from the time you're 50 to you're 80, I want to pump that up and have that vibrancy in life literally continue onward in the 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s and beyond. Before then, boom, I just go, right? And when it's time to go, I can just go and live that vibrant life instead of just kind of having life sucked out of me. So that was the idea behind the 90-day transformation. I had a good friend join me. We reported to each other every single day. Well, here's what you need to know. I'm 46 years old, chronologically. I was born in 1974. Because I've been taking care of my body and doing certain things, which I'm about to share with you in kind of the last few minutes of time tonight. And again, if you have some questions, throw them in the chat box. Otherwise, I'm going to talk right up until the 29 minutes and 45 seconds before they shut me up. I'm 46, but because I've been doing some of these strategies I'm going to share with you, my chronological age was 33. I was 33 years old based on various calculations, okay? And there are numbers of tests you can do. This isn't the only test. This isn't the only one, one answer, but it was some good insight. Do you know what? 90 days later, I dropped some weight. I dropped some body fat percentage. I increased some muscle. But do you know what I was most tickled about? My functional age went from 33 to 31 in 90 days. Are you kidding me? I was so excited about that. So while we're talking about younger next year, let's talk about younger next month. So, okay. So a couple of pillars I'm actually putting together. I as Lillian said, I host a room every week on Clubhouse called Younger Next Year. By the way, it's Thursdays, 5 p.m. Eastern. And I gather an incredible panel of really experts, if you will, in all forms of fasting and fitness and nutrition and movement and science and research and biohacking. We have a lot of fun, but some of this information is distilled from my research, some from theirs, and I'll share it with you. Number one thing, if you want to live longer, okay, this is my protocol, I'm not giving you medical advice, is your mindset. Number one, you have to start thinking differently. And what I mean by that, probably the number one thing, well, number two thing when it comes to mindset is the word invest. You're not spending money. I'm not just spending money on myself. I'm not just spending money on supplements. I'm not just spending money on good, wholesome food. We just brought back a quarter buffalo from the Buffalo Ranch, about an hour and a half of us up in the mountains of Camas in Park City, Utah. They raised buffalo on about 800 acres. I know where that meat's come from. I know it's healthy. I just know the specs on it. I'm not just spending money on good food or on diagnostics or on tests or on wearables. I'm investing, really taking care of your health and being younger next year. Number one is about changing your mindset and moving from a spending, just a spending money kind of a mindset, or I don't want to spend money on this, or that's too expensive. Some of these things you just really shouldn't put off, right? I shouldn't put off some diagnostics. I shouldn't put off maybe some checkups. I shouldn't put off doing some blood lab work. I shouldn't put off, eating healthy till I can afford it. I should form my lifestyle right now so I can make investments into my health. That's the number one thing. Number two, movement and fitness. There's so much research out there that shows that you should just be moving. The sedentary lifestyle is a killer. So, if you're going to listen to audiobooks, if you're going to get on a podcast or Clubhouse or whatever, get moving. If you like to watch TV, at the very least, get a treadmill, get an elliptical, right? And here's some key markers. 4 to 6 times a week. I push myself 5 to 6 times a week. I give myself 1 to 2 days of rest. And I'm looking like I'll give you both spectrums. At introductory level, I'm just looking to do something, right? Some people really would struggle to walk 5 minutes down the beach. That's in the book, by the way, Younger Next Year. And if you can't walk 5 minutes down the beach without being winded, then do what you can, right? But just do something every day. Make a commitment every day, right? I ride my quad and my four-wheelers and my machines here on the farm a little less, and I do a lot more walking down to the barn. Okay. I've got a 3-year-old. Go talk to your mama and ask her. Okay. Mama say yes. Okay, whatever mama said. Okay. All right. So start with something. Daily movement will change your life. I'm looking for 40 minutes, 30 to 40 minutes, 5 to 6 times a week. And I want to hit that 80%. I'm getting a little technical right now because I know listening to this, you're going to have people at all ends of the spectrum. And what's most important is that you don't compare yourself to anybody else, but that you own your life. You're the CEO of your health. You're the one who gets to live that and to share it. So start where you are, right? But what I'm looking for, and a lot of the science shows 30 to 40 minutes a day, 4, 5, 6 times a week. By the way, that doesn't have to be in a chunk of time. There's a bunch of research showing that, listen, it could be 10 minutes a day, 3 times a week, or 10 minutes a day, 3 or 4 times a day, right? 10 minutes per time, 3 or 4 times a day. And in some ways that was better in certain aspects. There's no one study that proves everything, but I want to get my heart rate up, right? I want to get it moving, maybe break a little sweat, get my heart rate up to 80% of 60 to 80% of, my capacity, but 60%, right? So I'm not like hoofing it, like just totally gassed. I did a super cardiovascular workout. I don't have to do that to get dramatic results. Let me share with you the 3 S's of movement and fitness. The 3 S's. My good friend Yuri, who I do some work with on Clubhouse, he's in the healthcare space, shared this with me. On a daily basis, I want to get at least one of these, if not more. I want to sweat, I want to stretch, and I want to strengthen. I want to sweat, I want to stretch, I want to strengthen. Wow, that'll change your life. Big time research, by the way. They did a study with people who are in geriatric facilities, right, care facilities, and they did strength training with them. I'm not talking about like serious barbell stuff. Like smaller weights, right? None of them had to go on steroids or anything like that or compete. but they did get them, doing some weight and resistance training. You know what happened? People who were in bed were in walkers. People who were in walkers were now out of walkers. And people who were moving better. Every single person benefited from strength training. So that's one of them. I'm not going to go into food and nutrition, but that's a big one. I'm really about gut health. I like to eat as healthy as I can. Let me say this though. I'm going to enjoy a dozen cookies every once in a while. I love my vices, if you will, but just be wary of what those are, right? I love Coca-Cola, but you won't find me drinking a Coke a day, right? I might have one a week, maybe a couple of months. I might enjoy it. But again, it's more about your habits and daily habits, right? But seek to just make improvements. Don't try to do everything. Do one thing, do it for a week, do it for 2 weeks, do it for 3 weeks, then start stacking other things. Don't try to change the world or transform your health from 17 different avenues, because you'll just get overload. You'll wear yourself out, and then you go back to eating potato chips and watching old reruns of MacGyver, right? Until the wee hours of the day, and you won't do any of those things. What's next? 2 more things I'll share, and then I think I'm out of time. Metrics, measuring. So powerful. Measure where you are. Measure where you are today. Maybe pull out a journal and say, here's how I feel. I mean, that could be simple. That simple. Pull out your phone and do an audio note. How do you feel today? Like, how do you feel energy-wise? How do you feel weight-wise? How do you feel, just body-wise? How do you feel mind-wise, mind energy, right? How do you feel about your nutrition? Just start with something and start measuring it, right? If you want to eat healthier, start measuring how many healthy meals you have in a week. Just do that, right? Every time you do that, mark it on your fridge and then reward yourself with something very delicious at the end of the week. And then just watch. Does it really matter what you do today? No, you're hopefully, because you're measuring it, you're gonna work on it, right? What we tend to measure, what we tend to focus on, we tend to make improvements on. So I don't get so concerned about, well, did I do everything right? Am I heading in the right direction? Am I doing it for the right reasons? Well, you get a week's worth of tick marks. Hey, I ate 7 good meals this week. Well, great. Now you have something to move against when you start next week. And you can say, listen, if I just get 8 this next week, that's an improvement. Okay. Incremental improvement, make baby steps, set baby goals or tiny goals, tiny habits, as they say, and just start making improvement. Don't seek, offer yourself some grace. Now, if you want to compete at a higher level, you're going to have to move at a higher speed. But I will say that direction and consistency trump short-term intensity. Okay. Because in the end, it's about keeping it. Last thing I'll share with you. I said metrics. So one thing I do, I got an Apple Watch, right? Some people use Fitbits, whatever. I measure how much exercise I do on a week. And I look at that on a daily basis and how many calories did I burn? And it just helps me to be mindful of this area of health that I'm interested in. I track my sleep now, right? So last thing, one of my 7 steps to biohacking and experiencing full life through transformation is activation. I really believe that we're on the frontier of some amazing discoveries in the health and wellness worlds. A lot of that has to do with we talked about genetics tonight and genetic activation, something scientists call epigenetics. Not just the genes that you have, but how are we playing the piano of those genes? What are the fingers that we're, the keys that we're touching, the rhythms that we're using, and the tuning that we're doing on those. So I think one of the most important things that I'm doing from a health and wellness standpoint is I jumped into activation about 11 years ago as a biohacker, worked with some world-renowned scientists, and really delved into 3 areas. 3 areas in the human body. NRF2, if you don't know about NRF2, it may be the single biggest breakthrough in the history of medicine. Those aren't my words. That's the research out of Washington State University, research on all kinds of conditions, health conditions associated with that. Over 12,000 studies, peer-reviewed in the last 15 years, 90% of those coming in the last 10 or 8 to 10 years. But really activating your body's genetics. And so that's how I met most people here, because we saw a story that we've never seen before. If you can turn on the protection cycles in your body, if you can turn on the energy mitochondria factories in your body and maintain them and optimize them, and finally, if you can turn on the longevity and vitality genes, you can literally change the trajectory of your life. And like me, you can start to act and live and be younger next year. So just a few snippets tonight from my upcoming little PDF mini book called 7 Steps to Biohacking Your Biology and Transforming Your Life. I want to thank Eileen and Lillian for organizing this Wednesday Wellness. So much value here. I hope that I've contributed to it. And I wish each of you the utmost success, that you might drink fully from the cup of life, that you might have more magical moments than you ever desired, because you take care of yourself and you start investing in yourself in a way that you never have. And with that, Lillian, I'll give this back to you. Thanks so much.
I want to thank everyone. And if you're watching the replay and you want some information, like Seth said, we're all together in this biohacking company that has those activators. So please get back with the person that invited you or send you the recording, because they can get your questions answered. They can send you all the information. Like I said, our goal here is to help everyone attain those health goals so that you can live well, get well if you're not well, and then stay well for a long, long, long time. So,
and the animals.
Thank you, everyone.
You have to say
and the animals. That's right. I forgot about the animals today. So we do Wellness Wednesday every Wednesday at 9:30 Eastern, 6:30 Mountain Time, and all of the month of June will be dedicated because it's Father's Day. So we dedicated it to men's health. So we will have another super interesting topic, and we hope you can join us. So thank you very much, and good night.
Thanks for watching. And remember, one change can have an enormous effect. Remember to subscribe, hit the bell and the like, and we'll see you next time on Love to Live.